So after all the talk about the old episodes of NWA Powerr vanishing from the YouTube channel, a lot of question about the future of Billy Corgan's NWA, is it going to live on? What's going on here? Why were the episodes pulled? We got the news this week that the NWA is not going anywhere. The NWA, in fact, is coming back. And you're going to have the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion Nick Aldis, along with Thunder Rosa and Aaron Stevens, Trevor Murdoch, the Pope, Elijah Burke, Tim Storm, Camille. They're all coming back for their first live event, their first pay-per-view since the pandemic 1 year ago. In fact, they were preparing for a pay-per-view at that time that never took place, and then everything kind of went to hell. But the NWA is coming back on March 21st at 4 p.m. Eastern with a live pay-per-view on FITE TV called Back for the Attack. And they're going to be resuming a full schedule of NWA Powerr tapings that are going to be airing. Powerr is coming back, and it's going to be airing, I believe, in its old, I say slot. I mean, the old episodes would drop on Tuesdays on YouTube. That will no longer be the case. They will no longer be available free on YouTube. But I believe Tuesdays at 6:05 p.m. on FITE TV is where you will be able to find new episodes of Powerr going forward, beginning on March 23rd. What's interesting is that March 21st is the same date as the next WWE pay-per-view, Fastlane. So I'm not sure what the mindset is of why you would want to run this event the same day as the WWE is running a pay-per-view, even though this is going to be earlier. This is a 4 p.m. Eastern start. So this event should be ending or over by the time Fastlane begins. If there is a lot of overlap between the two audiences, there's at least some. There's some people who just love watching wrestling, and they'll watch a little bit of everything. But I don't know why it had to be the same day that WWE is airing a pay-per-view. That just doesn't seem wise to me. But Powerr was one of my favorite shows to watch for a while there. You know, it used to be Lucha Underground, and then Lucha Underground unfortunately went away. They kind of fizzled out. We never got a proper ending there. Powerr was a very simple show. It was a throwback to the old days of the NWA studio shows that people, you know, again, I just got done talking about Jim Crockett Promotions. They did a very admirable job of trying to replicate that experience as best they can. They had an audience of about 200 people in those GPB studios in Atlanta. And the setup and just the way that the show was produced, it was meant to bring you back in a lot of ways to those days and invoke those old feelings of nostalgia, but with a new crop of talent. And I thought they did a good job. It was a different show to watch. They're not trying to be WWE. They're not trying to be something they're not, AEW or anything else. They carved out their own little niche. They didn't have a very big audience, but they had an audience, and I was among those watching each week, and I enjoyed the show, and I was very sad when it went away. It's been a very rocky year for the NWA. The pandemic just stopped them in their tracks. Then the speaking out movement caught fire last summer, and Dave Lagana resigned, and Lagana was part of the heart and soul of that company. He was the man responsible on the production end for a lot of what you and I saw in terms of producing those Powerr shows for YouTube before they went live, and a lot of the other supplemental content that you saw on the YouTube channel, social media stuff. You know, Lagana was really the one who was the driving force behind that. So losing him, there's a reason why there wasn't any new NWA content on YouTube being produced. Because they probably didn't have anybody who can just slip into the role and take over and produce the content because he was gone. So losing him was a big blow as well. They've had a lot of talent turnover over the past several months. A lot of that talent has gone on to AEW, NXT. They've gone to Impact, right? That's where James Storm, I think, has been of late. Even though, you know, James Storm has said that, Billy and Lagana let him go from his NWA contract because they wanted him to go to WWE. They were hoping an opportunity would open up for him, and one did. This was for I believe, the Royal Rumble last year, and it didn't materialize. I don't remember exactly what all the circumstances behind it were, but they said, we're going to let you go because we want you to have this run and to go to WWE, and then it just ended up not happening. So now I believe he's back for now in Impact. But a lot of the talent, Ricky Starks and other people as well, other names, they're just sort of scattered all over right now. Right? LA Knight, the former Eli Drake, just, was on NXT this past week. So it's been a rough year. It's been a rough year for the NWA. The Associated Press ran a story on the move. They had a chance to interview Billy Corgan. I want to read you part of this. This has some information in here. It says, unlike the well-funded major wrestling companies that survived on TV money as touring stopped during the pandemic and fans were largely banned from attending events, the NWA was one of several smaller promotions forced to suspend operations. NWA pulled its videos from YouTube over the weekend, but it was necessary as part of the move to FITE TV. So, on that note, from what I saw when I went on the FITE TV site, I believe you can now go on FITE TV and access all of the old episodes of Powerr for free. I happened to go on there and I was playing the very first episode of Powerr for free, without paying for anything. So if you want to go back and watch some of those old episodes, you can probably do it right now. You just have to do it on FITE and not on YouTube anymore. But Corgan said, we were never in any financial peril. We were totally on a growth pattern. Plan for last year before things kind of hit the skids was to start pivoting. We were in discussions with Live Nation about running live events to help bring in revenue and expand who was watching the product. It was more about growing pain stuff, but we didn't have any problems internally with the product. And he said Corgan was thrilled to partner with AEW founder Tony Khan and keep the NWA active in some form. He said, obviously, the company's been down, and he's helped the brand keep the brand in people's minds, and he's been a great friend in that way. So that's from Billy Corgan. And it has been a big deal for them. It's kept someone like Thunder Rosa in the forefront. Now, if Thunder Rosa is going to be appearing on Powerr, she's a bigger name now than she was 6 months ago, 9 months ago, a year ago, when the pandemic first shut everything down. More people know who Thunder Rosa is. More people have seen her work. They like her. They appreciate her work. She is still under contract to the NWA. So that's an example of someone who got a lot of exposure on TNT, working with other people in front of a much bigger audience, who now feels like a much bigger star because of it. I'm actually very shocked that we never saw someone like Nick Aldis, frankly, make an appearance on Dynamite. It could still happen. Clearly, there is a friendly relationship between the two sides. Who's to say it still won't happen at some point? I thought for sure, though, we'd get an appearance by him at some point. Corgan is, again, he's relaunching things with the pay-per-view on the 21st. That'll be streaming on FITE. Powerr will be back weekly. It looks like on Tuesdays at 6:05, also on FITE. I'm not exactly sure. There's some kind of subscription bundle. I don't have all the information on exactly, what you'll be able to pay for that. I'm sure if it's not already on the FITE site, that they'll have information up on that very shortly. But Aldis is going to be competing on the pay-per-view. The pay-per-view is going to be dedicated to the memory of Josephus, Joseph Hudson, the question mark, who passed away just recently. All of the events are going to be held without a live audience. So the vibe is not going to be exactly as it was before. You had that crowd of about 200 people in the studio. These will have no fans. They will have no artificial noise, no piped-in crowd chants of any kind. So it's basically going to be like what Impact was up until recently. I know Impact now pipes in crowd noise, but for the longest time, Impact, it was just total silence, and that's how these NWA Powerr shows are going to be. I guess not unlike how a lot of the UFC shows are now. But Nick Aldis also confirmed one other thing, and this is a positive. He confirmed that Dawkins' Into the Fire will return as the official theme song for NWA Powerr. It had been replaced for a few months there by Pantera's I'm Broken. Pantera, fine band, but just didn't have the same vibe without that Dawkins song, so they're bringing it back. And that's a plus.